Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the North Country Prepper channel. I am the North Country Prepper, and today I want to talk about something very serious that's been weighing on my heart real heavy, and that is the attacks in Paris that just happened a couple of days ago. Um, been carried out by ISIS. Uh, this video I'm not even going to do my normal intro. I'm not going to do nothing fancy. I'm not excited about it, so I'm just going to do the video. I'm going to talk a little bit. I don't know how long the video is going to be. There's going to be some philosophy involved in it, some prepping type talk. I'm probably not going to do much editing, so I may fumble my words. So basically, ISIS carries out this attack over there. There's been other attacks that they've taken responsibility for, and it's terrible. People are dying, and these towel heads are getting off on it. And my point here is if you feel safe here in America, you shouldn't, because I don't feel safe in America. There's things going on with our government right now that aren't adding up in my mind. There's things going on in the world that aren't adding up in my mind. I can't really pinpoint all of it at once in this video. I know what some of the issues are, and if I really sat down and thought about it, I could probably put those on camera as well. But you know, the Obama administration is trying some crazy things, pushing for gun control. I'm not against background checks, but I get a background check anyway when I buy a firearm, so I don't really know how far they're willing to take it. I mean, sometimes they talk about wanting to, if you've been on certain medications or if you have had a certain disability or anything like that, then you shouldn't own a firearm. I don't know. I think medications can keep people sane. I think that people can change. I think that maybe some people went through a rough time in their life and now they're better. I don't think that that type of stuff should keep good people that have changed from owning firearms. Um, I do believe that the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Um, I just don't think that taking weapons away from innocent civilians, law-abiding citizens, is going to solve anything. It's going to make the crime triple, guaranteed. We could. I'm beating a dead horse here. It feels like, because here's just one quick story for you. Where I live, there's a cable TV store where you can go in and pay your cable bill or whatever you want to do. And I was getting ready to walk in there one day and pay my bill, and there was a sign on the door that said no concealed weapons allowed. Well, the first thing is, my state permit trumps their sign on the door, and if I'm concealed carrying, they're not going to know I have it because it is private property. So if they knew I had it, they could ask me to leave, and that's okay. But what I'm trying to say is, if it's concealed, they're not going to know you have it, and my state permit still allows me to carry it in there. So basically, their sign on the door was useless to people that really know the law. I did abide by their sign. I'm not sure that I would now, but I did then. Took my firearm to the vehicle, walked in there, and I asked them the question. I said, "Why don't you allow concealed weapons in here?" And the lady, she first said, "Why, do you have one?" I said, "No, I do not. I left it in the vehicle." And she said, "Well, it's because we've had them used against us." Now, she didn't go into real detail whether it was a robbery, whether somebody's pissed off about their cable bill. I don't know. But I said, you do realize that by putting that sign on the door, you're not deterring any criminals because they don't care what the sign on the door says, for one. And for two, you're disarming the good guys, and by doing that, you're ruining the only chance that you have of anybody coming to your rescue. And she just did not see that my way. Well, there's a sign on the door. There's a sign on the door. Well, to be honest with you, we all know criminals don't care what the sign on the door says. It's just a big poster saying that there's no good citizen in here that's armed, so come tear this place up and have your way with it. And that's tough, because to be a law-abiding citizen, you have to disarm. On the back of my CPL, there's certain places where I'm not allowed to carry. Courthouses, churches, schools, college campuses, dormitories. You guys know, if you're watching this video, you probably know the list. I'm sure every state is a little bit different. But for the most part, I'm sure that it's along the same lines. I've never seen a CPL from a different state, so I can't tell you what other states say. I happen to live in Michigan, and so, but anyway. And of course, the toughest thing about those places is, entertainment facility seating more than 2,500 people. Basically, any high-profile shooting that's ever happened has happened at one of these places that we're not allowed to carry our pistols. Why can't Washington see these statistics? Basically, what I was going to say before I said that was, in order to be a law-abiding citizen, you must disarm. I'm not saying carry in a pistol-free zone. I'm not advocating it. I'm not saying I do it. I'm not saying I don't do it. But more importantly, I'm not saying that I do it. I'm just saying that these times that we're living in here in 2015 in America are hard times with bad people. And I really think that if there's a sheepdog out there that decided to carry in a pistol-free zone and saved innocent lives, bravo to that sheepdog. Because let's just be honest, again, I'm not advocating this, so don't say that NCP said let's carry everywhere. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you're concealed carrying anyway and you carry deep, then nobody's going to know you have that firearm. And I hate it when I have to disarm to go into some place, because the places that I have to disarm, like I said before, are the places that these shootings happen. I will tell you that I don't carry into a school out of respect for some teachers that I know. Although I could, because it's concealed and nobody's going to know you have it. And I don't carry into most places. I'll just say that. I'm not saying that I carry into any of them where I'm not supposed to, but I try to obey the law because I do not want to lose my privilege to carry that firearm and defend my family. But what I'm saying is just here in the world today and the way things are going, it sucks. Because in order to protect yourself and to be a sheepdog and to protect others, you almost have to disobey the law, making you a criminal, when really you're just a law-abiding citizen trying to save innocent lives from being slaughtered. And it's ridiculous. I think they should do away with pistol-free zones altogether. I think that we should be able to carry in schools. And there's a lot of people out there that disagree with that. I take my daughter to school every morning and I pick her up every afternoon. And I think for that 5 minutes in the morning and that 25 minutes that I wait in the car line in the afternoon, that school would be a heck of a lot safer place. Well, actually, it's legal for me to have my gun in the truck, in my vehicle, and so I do. It is in the vehicle, but if I have to get out of the vehicle to go into the school for any reason, I have to disarm. And I think that just having someone in there, some good guy with a gun, could stop a bad guy with a gun. Plain and simple. Innocent lives would not be taken. Innocent children. These scumbags don't care about innocent life. It's just sickening. And I had the statistics. I don't have them right here. I forgot to grab them. But the active military members that are on active duty, the amount of them is just insane. The amount of people in reserves is insane. Large numbers. The amount of retired military and law enforcement out there, again, insanely large numbers. You could take one retired law enforcement or military officer and place them at the door of every single school and college in America and still not even put a dent in resources. I mean, it's that simple. And I can guarantee you there's plenty of retired law enforcement and military people out there that would be more than happy to protect innocent children and innocent lives. Probably wouldn't even need to be paid for it. They would just volunteer to protect these schools. Why hasn't anybody thought of that? Again, I really wish I had the numbers right here, but look them up. Look up active military, reserve military, retired military, and then the amount of schools, public schools, private schools, and colleges and universities in America. The numbers are staggering. How few schools there are versus how many people out there that would be willing to protect those schools. Okay, moving on away from the schools. Obviously, the Paris shooting was not at a school. It was at a stadium. Again, another place where here in America, here in Michigan, I can't carry my firearm into a stadium. Go down to Joe Louis Arena to watch a Red Wings game. Go to Comerica Park to watch a Tigers game. You're not even hardly making it through the gate with a pocket knife. Security guards with wands and everything. And I guess I can understand that a little bit because they do have armed security there, and they don't want just some dude having a gun there. That, I guess I kind of understand that. I do feel a little bit better about having armed security there. But again, you sit there and you say, well, we don't want some lunatic walking into the school with a gun or the stadium or wherever. Well, let's go back to the point that criminals don't care what the sign on the door says. Law-abiding citizens do. We don't want to make ourselves criminals, so we disarm. And when we disarm, the criminals can have their way with us. It's simple freaking logic. Simple. Yeah, every now and then there's probably some guy that got his CPL and he went off the deep end and he's now into drugs, or he's an alcoholic, or he's going through a hard time, and he might turn into a raging lunatic and shoot someplace up. But at that point, I don't consider him a CPL holder. I don't consider him a law-abiding citizen. I consider him the criminal. Whether he has a CPL or not, that's invalid at this point. If he went in there and he wanted to be the criminal and he wanted to shoot the place up, who cares if the guy has a valid CPL? There's going to be another good guy in there with a gun that can stop him. That's what I'm trying to say here. It's irrelevant. CPL holder goes ballistic. Who gives a shit? It's irrelevant whether he has a CPL or not. At that point, he's a criminal. And there should be able to be somebody else in there with a gun, a good guy like myself, a sheepdog that wants to protect innocent lives, that could do just that. But no, now they just want to make a CPL holder that goes ballistic just another statistic, which I'm sure that's a very, 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 very low statistic, because all the CPL holders that I know, they're legit. They know what their duty is. Whether they want to carry just to protect themselves, whether they want to carry to protect their families, whether they want to carry to be a civilian sheepdog. They'll have their reasoning, and they're not lunatics. But if a CPL holder did go shoot a place up, they're going to say, this is why we don't want CPL holders to be able to carry in here. They want to use that against the good guys, when really it doesn't matter whether he had a CPL or not. I don't know if you get my point. It's kind of a difficult point to make on that side of things, but we can move on. ISIS is a real threat. Here in Michigan, they claim that Dearborn, Michigan has one of the highest Muslim rates in the country. That don't make me feel very good. Within 200 miles of me is one of the highest Muslim populations in the country. And there's a lot more here that you don't know about. Guarantee it. So are you prepared? Do you feel safe? Because you shouldn't. You shouldn't feel safe. Are you prepared for ISIS to come here and try their bullshit here? For them to shoot up something around here? Are you what are you prepping for? What are you preparing for? In my opinion, there's two types of prepping. There's two categories. Man-made and natural disaster. It's that simple. There's subcategories, obviously off from those. You get into natural disasters. Now you're talking hurricanes, tornadoes, ice storms, natural disasters. You get into man-made disasters, and in my opinion, a man-made disaster usually starts with the government in some way, shape, or form. It really does. And the ISIS thing, don't kid yourself. The government is a part of it, whether you want to believe it or not. I just listened to a video of George Bush back in, back when he was president, somewhere around 04, 05 probably. That could be wrong. Warning that if we pulled troops out of Afghanistan and Iraq too soon, that this would happen. These radical groups would gain power, they would rise up, and this exact thing would happen. Well, guess what? It's happening. George Bush wasn't that stupid after all, was he? Obama pulled the troops out. Was this the plan all along? I don't know. All I'm trying to say is the government is behind everything, whether you liked it or not, whether you want to admit it or not. The government has something to do with it. Just riots start to happen over race. Certain races don't like the outcome of court cases. Let's go back to the Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin. That was a big deal there. Obviously, you say, what's government have to do with that? The Supreme Court ruled one way, which is part of the government, and people didn't like it. Now, this isn't ISIS we're talking about. I'm just saying in our own country, man-made disaster. basically, the whole ISIS thing, though, I do think that our government could do more to control it, but they don't. I don't know if the White House, if Obama wants to wipe out half of this country's population. I don't know what his plan is. I don't know what he's thinking he's going to pull off before he gets out of office. But ISIS is coming to America. They're already here. ISIS is in America. ISIS is probably within 200 miles of you right now. You just don't know it. They're sitting back and they are waiting for the opportunity to strike. Whether you're preparing for man-made or natural disaster, I think that those preps would roll over into either situation. But I do think that you should be prepping somewhat. I think that you should be putting away food. I think that you should be putting away water. I think that you should have a bug out bag ready to roll. I think that you should do everything that you can to take care of your family. Even FEMA says, well, I got the thing right here. Go to ready.gov. FEMA thinks that you should have a basic disaster kit with water, food, batteries, or a hand crank radio, flashlight, first aid kit, whistle to signal for help, moist towelettes, garbage bags, plastic ties, wrench or pliers, manual can opener, local maps. That's just to name a few things. FEMA says that you should have those things. Guaranteed 85% of Americans don't have 3 things on this list ready to go. They don't. And they're going to be the ones running for government assistance, government help, FEMA camps, whatever it be. When shit hits the fan, the unprepared people, oh man, I just can't imagine what it would be like to be unprepared. I realize that it costs money, but it's not all about the money. Prepping takes time. A little bit here and there adds up over time. So it's not that expensive if you do it slowly. And that's how I do it. Meijer has their 10 for 10 sale on rice and noodles and this and that, canned vegetables. Spend an extra $10. Get an extra 10 food items. Come home, store it. It's not that hard. Water is kind of a difficult one to put away because you need to have the drums to put it in. A cool, dark place to keep it. Although I do think that if disaster struck and you live, like I have a well at my house, I have a generator. Obviously gas would run out sooner or later, but I could fire up that generator and power my well so I could have water. Again, prepping, I look at it as an investment. If you want to live, then it's an investment. It's that simple. My family's on board with it. My wife is on board with it. She knows how to operate all my weapon systems. She knows where the food is. She knows how to do all that. Do you carry a gun? Do you carry a gun for self-defense? Do you carry a spare mag for that gun? You should. You should get your CPL and you should defend yourself. You should have the ability to defend you, your property, and your loved ones at all times. Do you carry a backup gun on your ankle, par se, or wherever? I never used to really advocate having a backup gun, but I'm telling you, I started carrying a backup gun. This LCP 380 ankle gun, awesome. Two reasons for that. One is extra firepower. The second thing is, if I'm with somebody that doesn't have a weapon and I trust that person, I can hand them a backup gun and they can fight alongside of me. Backup gun is not a stupid idea. I don't really like the extra added weight to my daily system, but I'm learning to deal with it. And you'll be happy that it was there in the case of an emergency. What are you prepared for? Are you prepared for EMP, electromagnetic pulse? Are you prepared for ISIS to possibly take down the power grids? How are you going to stay warm? Do you have a wood stove? Or are you relying on gas? Propane, natural gas? Because those are going to be relatively ineffective. A lot of the newer furnaces are self-igniting. You're not going to have power to ignite that. The blowers, there's going to be no power to run the blowers. I don't care if you go out and spend $60 on one of those cheap do-it-yourself 55-gallon drum wood stoves. Buy some pipe. In the case of an emergency, you don't need to be putting a chimney out your roof with a nice chimney cap and everything. Honestly, you can open a window and just pipe it out the window to stay warm. These are things that you need to be thinking about. Here in northern Michigan, it gets brutal here. My main source of heat is wood. A cast iron wood stove in my living room that does a few things for me. It provides heat and it provides a place to cook, boil water. Just something as simple as staying warm in a time of disaster is going to kill a lot of people. It's sad to say, but these people, nobody's preparing. And don't try to rely on other people. I have preps put aside. I have people that I plan on hooking up with. And I can guarantee there's going to be a lot more people that want to hook up with me. Whether I let them or not, I don't know. My food supply ain't going to last forever. The more people, the more mouths to feed, and chances are pretty darn good that if they want to hook up with me, it's because they don't have anything. Instead of looking at them as a body to help defend, I almost look at them as a mouth to feed. So I don't know. I have a couple freezers full of beef, pork, and venison, but that's not going to last very long. You know, what happens when the power goes out and those freezers are no longer cold? I don't know. Dig a hole, build a cache, I don't know. Build a smoker, smoke the meat to preserve it. Can it, maybe? Do you have a garden? If you don't, that'd be smart. Because here's the thing. Here's what I think. I think that when this thing kicks off, that bugging out is not a good idea. I think if you live in the city, you should get out of the city. But I live on the outskirts of a small city, and I really think that in my neighborhood, in my cul-de-sac, surrounded by woods, I think that this is a perfect scenario to stay put. All of my supplies are here at home. All my weapons, all my ammunition, everything that I've worked for is here at home. Garden is here at home. I think that if you can stay put and not have to leave for supplies, eventually you'll have to leave for supplies. But I think that the mass chaos is going to be in the cities. And if you could stay out of the cities and you have preps and you have some things put aside and you have a network of people and you have a good system, I think you can stay alive. I really do. Unless World War III breaks out, martial law is implemented, our own military is going around our neighborhoods and implementing martial law, then that would be a bad situation. You never know. But I don't think that's going to work either. I think there'd be too much pushback from pro-Second Amendment people, and rightfully so. I don't think everybody will be affected, but you never know. You just never know. I don't feel like Northern Michigan is a huge target unless they want to take out fresh water. Then it'd be a target. But then who knows what them towel heads are thinking? You don't know. You just don't know. But it's time to arm up. It's time to buy guns. It's time to buy ammo. It's time to stand as a nation. It's time to be good Americans, to be sheepdogs. Don't be selfish. It's time to man up, is what it's time for. It's time to, if you don't have a concealed pistol license, to go get a concealed pistol license. If you're a convicted felon, I'm sorry. Hopefully you've changed. Hopefully you're a better person now. But you're not getting a concealed pistol license in the state of Michigan anyways. Probably not in any state. You probably can't even possess a firearm. But if you are a convicted felon, you need to think about some of that stuff, and maybe that you need to have a plan in order that you're going to meet up with some people that do have guns and ammo. And in an SHTF situation, who cares if you're a felon? You know, you got to do what you got to do to stay safe. But in just a everyday situation where everything's going smooth, no, you can't carry a firearm. But maybe you can carry a knife. 4-inch, 3.5-inch folder. That'll double as a tactical self-defense blade just fine. There's things that you can do. Maybe you can carry a Kimber pepper blaster. or something along those lines. Maybe you can carry mace, whatever. There's things that you can do to get out of situations, but you have to think about, who am I? Okay. Who am I? Where do I live? What's my situation? Who can I depend on? What's my plan? And how am I going to execute that plan? You have to think about these things, or you're going to be caught with your pants down, and you might just die. It's that simple. You could die if you don't have a plan. Because, just think about this for a minute. Could I survive if the grid went down? As tough as that is to answer, me, NCP, I can say yes. I could survive if the grid went down. But I can stay warm. I can cook food. I have guns and ammo. I have prep set aside for it. If I was just an average person living in a city somewhere, I'm not sure that I could answer that question without saying no. The biggest thing is staying warm and eating. And guns and ammo. That's the biggest thing for me. Water, food, guns, ammo, and heat. You don't realize how cold it is until you don't have any heat. Electricity is a big deal in America. We rely on it very heavily. Except for in my family, when the electricity goes out, we make the best of it. We stoke up our wood stove and we go get a lantern and we play board games at the kitchen table. It's kind of fun. And granted, we are happy when the electricity comes back on, but I'm just saying, are you prepared? Have you thought about this? If you haven't thought about this, it's time to wake up. Quit living in a fantasy that everything is going to be okay and that so-and-so the government's going to protect me, because they ain't. The government, in my opinion, is against the American people. And when shit hits the fan, you can bet that the government's going to have what I like to call concentration camps set up for people to go to, so the government can be the hero. But really, was it a false flag attack? Did the government orchestrate this whole thing? Because that's very possible too, where the government could orchestrate a situation that they put into motion, and then they also, for the people that are living in a fantasy, become the hero. That's very possible. Very possible. Government are some weird people that want full control of America. And they don't have any right to. We're human beings. We have the right to self-defense. Anti-gun people, that's your problem. Die. I don't care. Or quit being anti-gun. It's that simple. You want to be anti-gun? That's fine. When something pops off and it's a bad situation and you're caught with no gun, game over. It'd be too late to change your mind. Promise you that. I don't want anybody to die, but I'm just saying, if you're anti-gun, you need to open your eyes to this world and what's going on. Because the only way to stop it is resistance from good guys with guns, and lots of guns, and big kahunas. Sheepdogs that want the bullshit of the world to stop. That's what's going to stop this, guys. That's it. That's all. That's all that will stop this. ISIS ain't going to stop until they've had their way with everybody. Radical Islam is a bad thing for America, for the world. I could probably keep rambling on. I think I'm right around 40 minutes here on this video. I hope I didn't bore anybody. Philosophy videos are tough to make because you got to think about what you want to say, and you can just go on and on and on and on, and I get that. But there's so many things that need to be said in order to make a decent video. Whether this is a decent video or not, I don't know. You be the judge of that. If you like it, subscribe to the channel. North Country Prepper has strong ideas, and I'm trying to build a community, a family of like-minded people that think the way I do, that can give me input, that I can help them, they can help me. I want that. So, subscribe to the channel. My thoughts are and prayers are with Paris. But changing my Facebook profile picture isn't going to help Paris. Not to be a dink, but it's not going to help Paris. It's not going to help you. The only thing that's going to help you is to go out and buy a gun and buy some ammo for it and learn how to use that gun to save yourself. Wake up. See the reality of the world. 2015, this world is falling apart, and the only way to put it back together is to be sheepdogs and to be real men and to quit being sissies and stand up and defend and fight for what you believe. I'm going to sign off with this, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope I didn't bore too many people. Philosophy videos, like I said, are tough. There will be more videos to come, and I appreciate it. Thank you for watching.